Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to the East-West Show. Jack Chow with the East-West Show for many, many years with lots of pride. And we would like once again to give you some information about the Hollywood circle. And it was about a week ago, I had this opportunity to talk with a friend of mine named Winston Lee, a director and also a former actor of China, educator as well now. About the Great Wall, which was claimed to have made a box office record, Great Wall. Well, the conclusion was that it was a great film, it was a commercial film, it was a Hollywood film, which equals lots of fun. That was the conclusion. I was not satisfied with the conclusion. That's why today, once again, we're talking about the Great Wall. Joining me, but my good friend, Chris Nibby, a director, a producer, / a screenwriter, another / my dear friend, Mr. Chris Nibby. You're welcome to the show.
谢谢你老朋友.
All right, good. That's very good. That's perfect Chinese already. All right, that makes me flattered. Okay, now, I know that there are lots of people who say that they like the new release, Great Wall, and there are lots of people say they are not that quite satisfied. It is way from what has been advertised. I know you have seen that films.
Yes.
What is your overall impression about that great masterpiece, please?
My impression is that they failed greatly because they used the Great Wall title and you don't see the Great Wall, and the Great Wall is one of the 7 wonders of the world, and to use this title for such a mediocre film is not very smart, because now you can no longer use this title for a film which would really address the historic value, the epic cultural value the Great Wall represents for China. So far, so good. You see, in this business, in the movie business, in Hollywood, everybody knows everything and nobody knows anything, because it is always a gamble and you have no idea what the public wants. However, the most important thing is, if you want to be successful, you have to reach the hearts and minds of the audience. And Great Wall is an example which failed to do so, because the story is, there's no story.
At all.
And I must say that the special effects are good, they're Hollywood standard. But I mean, how many times can you see a strange animal attacking you with a mouth wide open? And how many times can you see this when you have a story which basically doesn't interest you? And Mr. Wang Yan's pretty daughter is not helping the film either. And certainly Matt Damon is useless, but it was good for him because he got a lot of money for this film. So the film didn't do well in China, and it didn't do well in America, and it cost $150 million to do, but that's only the cost.
That's a record-breaking cost.
Yeah, and now you have to add the advertising, which is probably another $50 million. So the whole investment is probably $200 million, and I don't think they will make it back. Yes, the film made about, so far, 45 million theatrical gross. But you see, a theatrical gross does not mean the producer gets 45 million. That is split about 50-50. 50 belongs to the theaters, and 50 goes to the distribution company.
Yeah, you're talking about only 22.5
right.
somewhere.
So it's a long way to recoup such an investment. And you see, there is a very interesting trend in Hollywood. Everybody's looking for stories which I would call crossover stories, which means to make a film which appeals to the huge Chinese audience, but at the same time appeals to the Western audience. So the answer to this is not necessarily to have Western stars in a Chinese film. I think the answer is to have stories which are reaching the Chinese as well as a Western audience. And that's not easy to do, because you have to address certain issues which are prevalent in the Chinese culture and other issues in the Western culture. So you can do it with action films, because action films, but action, you know, they're always very expensive. And I am an independent filmmaker, and I don't, when I hear budgets of 150 million, for me this means I could probably make 8 or 10 films for this kind of money. And then you have like gambling in Las Vegas, because the film business is gamble. Then you have 8 or 10 times the chance to make money.
Okay.
You see? Because if you put all the chips on one number and you lose, it's gone.
Okay, very good. Okay, that's quite a overall picture. It looks to me that you have touched several areas in one statement. Number one, the misusage of the Great Wall as a backbone of the title. And number two, the crossover wish, the theme. And number three, the budget versus box office income, right? And the fourth, the Hollywood taste, Hollywood audiences that makes you gamble. And number five, the gambling skills. If you do have to gamble, you don't want to put all the chips onto one number. It looks at least you mentioned 5 categories at one time that I all agree. I agree.
Thank you.
I agree. Well, 100%. But I want to stretch it out one by one. How about that? Shall we, please?
Yes.
Okay. Now, your first issue, you mentioned about the misusage of the image of Great Wall to symbolize the story, which has none. Right. So, can you stretch it out and say more about it, please?
Yes.
I believe my audience would like that as a start first.
Yes, because it's being said that you, from outer space, you can see the Great Wall. The Great Wall is synonymous with China. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. And if you use this wall, and also in the film, you don't even see the real wall. It's a fake wall. Am I right?
Course,
it's not the real
it's
wall.
It's a fake wall. And
So it's a waste of a symbol of China for a mediocre project. You see, if you would have a grandiose project where you see the Great Wall, the importance and the historic value and all this, then you would have something, and you would be justified to use this title. To use this title or use the Great Wall for such a mediocre film is a mistake and is not smart.
Right.
I mean, they thought it was smart because they thought people would come in and see it. But I think those people who came to see the Great Wall were very disappointed, and they went out. And you see, the biggest thing in film business is word of mouth.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go ahead.
People leave the theater satisfied and talk to their friends and say, I saw a great film. This is the advertising you want. You can tell people on billboards and in radio and television ads go and see the film, that means nothing.
You know what I tell my people, my friends? I said, you don't want to see it unless you're a filmmaker.
Right.
To learn the lessons.
Right.
Otherwise, for entertainment, do something else.
Right.
You like popcorns? Try to get it somewhere
Right,
else.
right,
Right.
right,
Okay.
right.
Now, I want to back you up with a new misusage of title. I give you an example. I have an email account, CSI Jack.
Yes.
That's my email address. You know,
Right.
right? CSI is a show name, Crime Scene Inspection. CSI.
Yeah.
Jack, right? Only I did it early time. That was 20 something years ago when email would just pop out, right? I registered my email address and I still use it. Time interval, I was reached by CSI people. They want to buy over.
Oh.
They want to buy over. And that time their offer was too little. I denied. If they come back again, give me a bigger number, I will do it. Right? This indicate a nameless person like me, right, borrowed CSI,
Which
of course,
came much later.
which no, I don't know. CSI was a good show
But that
even
came
that time.
later.
But CSI combined with Jack
Yeah.
is my creation. Right? That's my copyright.
Right.
So I wasted their opportunity to go anything else with CSI Jack. Right?
Right.
So that's the waste. I'm talking about Great Wall. If somebody say, and using Great Wall as a film though, there is no way of making it because somebody went ahead already like Jack Chow did.
That's it.
Right? Okay, now, I was always thinking about creating a film about back then, 2,000 years ago, when the Emperor Chen launched the wall construction. Lots of people died in the construction during the time of making it happen. There are lots of even kind of vivid legendary stories about it, love stories, and grassrooted people stories. If we use that for a big time, using that as a Great Wall though, that could be a super good title.
Right.
Now it is no longer there.
You see?
So that is a waste, and I agree with you in the first regard. Do you think that's a good way to approach?
Yeah.
All right. And my audience today, we're talking about film, and as you can see on the screen, the title of the show today is crossover. Crossover is the big term of this business, of the film business, and the film business is the big business of the world because everybody, as long as you have an eye, can watch. I would say there's none can say I haven't watched the film all my life. Everybody did. Everybody does. All right. So today with my good friend Chris Nibby, a director, producer, and screenwriter for films, and we're sharing his thoughts. In other words, he shed lights on this issue about how to do the crossover films. And we're taking only Great Wall as an example to dissect. Right. Let's take a very short moment out. When we come back, we'll pick up the second category that he mentioned with his statement that has 5 in it. Stay with us, please. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to the discussion about films. Today with me, my good friend Chris Nibby is a wonderful director, producer, and screenwriter. I respect him a lot, not only for his writing skills, directing skills, and producing skills, but also his set of a beautiful mind. And he has successfully done a series called Mysterious China that has 18 episodes, if I'm right with the number.
Yeah, 18 documentaries.
And telling only the truth, nothing but the truth. Like we swear in courts, we tell truth, only truth, nothing but truth, right? And the true
about
story
China. The truth
about China. And now about conflicts between China and elsewhere, something like that.
Yes.
How about that, right? And I respect that. I respect everybody and anybody who tells the truth. Right? To tell the truth, though, in making films, there are always a wish that American people want to see Chinese stories and vice versa, right? Yet it is the filmmaker's burden to make sure that you produce that kind of film that satisfies both. So the term crossover is a big term. It's a big, big word. In your definition, can you do something in a very simple language, please?
Yes. You see, action usually crosses over very well because action is just entertaining and it doesn't reach your heart or your mind. But for example, the films, in action films, what Hollywood tried, the main thing is, you see, the Chinese film market has become so important that it very soon is going to equal the American theatrical market. And nowadays, if you don't have a film which plays in the theaters, you cannot make any money because the DVD market is dead. The DVD market is only interesting for films which have been very successful.
The internet market is dead, yeah.
And internet, the streaming, is not making enough money. It's too diversified. It was much better when you had a DVD and it cost you $2 or $1.50 to make it, and you sold it for $7, $8, or $15. So that's gone. So now it's all the movie house where it happens. So you have to make films. That means the market has been shrinking. English is a universal language. They have been trying to put Chinese actors into action films, and then they left them in China in the film and cut them out in the American version. This doesn't work because that means that their parts were not important, so that you could easily cut them out. The way a crossover means that, number one, you have to shoot the film in English. Hollywood is the only filmmaking place where films are being shot sync sound. That means what we are talking now, the people will later on see in the film, hear in the film. In all other countries, in China, in Europe, in Spain, where they dub films,
they dub it,
in their own language, you cut the film, and 8 weeks later, you and I go into a studio, and we have a total different voice. And now we dub our lines. This is, which lacks realism. It gives you this kind of artificial sound. While the Hollywood films, this direct sound gives you the feeling of today, of now.
The exact moment.
Yes.
Down to the point.
That's it. This is very important. And you see, the Americans are so accustomed to having sync sound that when they hear a dubbed movie, they don't want to see it. And they also don't like, you have no chance with a dubbed movie here. You can take the best film, it will not work. There are two exceptions, and they are Chinese films. One was Hero, and the other Hidden Dragon.
Crouching Tiger.
Yeah. These two films had not much dialogue, and they offered something totally new which the West hadn't seen. And they were shown with subtitles in a general release. There are in America about 500 theaters which show art films, like G&E before he did make films like The Great Wall. He made very beautiful films about the Chinese culture. These films were shown in the 500 theaters in America.
During his golden times.
Yes. While The Great Wall is, by difference, considered a Hollywood movie, in English is shown in several thousand movie theaters. So that's the reason. So therefore, my concept, for example, or the idea which everybody is looking for in Hollywood, is to make a film in China, make Hollywood films in China, in English. Because the American audience does not mind if the Chinese actor has an accent or does even speak broken English, as long as they understand.
As long as it's English.
As long as they understand it.
Understood, yes.
So But you see, the story also has to be right. So you need to find a theme which meets Chinese sensibilities and Western sensibilities. Because you see, the market for English-speaking films is very big. It's United States America, Canada, England, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and Malaysia, Singapore, all these countries,
even
where,
India,
Middle East, etc., where they show
almost everywhere,
subtitles.
yes.
The dubbing countries in the world are only Russia, Spain, France, Germany,
China.
and China. Yes.
Okay, very good. That's a very good point, and that's a big point. I would like to emphasize on one thing. You mentioned several times about crossover film theme has to have a crossover story. So now, are you saying, so my question, okay, now we're talking about stories being Chinese story or English story, either way. Or, I mean, are you saying that as filmmakers, you have to create your own story that has the Chinese sensitivity and the US sensitivity? So, obviously you're talking about the third kind, am I right?
I'm trying, for example, you know, there are sometimes films which have a universal message of humanity. If you would have, if you have a subject like this, and I do have a screenplay like this, it's called The Barefoot Doctor. And if you have a universal humanitarian subject matter, you should do this film in English, even if it has only 100% Chinese actors, because a universal message means that you attract the emotions of everybody. And there are such subject matters, but there are not that many. And you see, for example, comedy is something which is very local. A Chinese comedy should never be made in English, and even American comedies also do not travel very well abroad. There are some exceptions.
There are limitations. There are quite a few limitations.
Yes. And comedies, because every country has its own sense of humor. And that's why comedies are something which can make a lot of money in a particular country. Like, for example, one of the biggest box office hits in China was a comedy about a vacation of some Chinese people in Thailand. The film never came here, but it made a fortune.
Made a fortune in Hong Kong, in Thailand, in China,
and it cost nothing. You see, and I am an independent filmmaker who is always pinching pennies. And that means you have to try to find stories which are to be made inexpensive. Good comedies are difficult to write, but there are other stories. There are, for example, love stories. And there are, you know, there are historic things which are which capture a great interest because the history is known.
All right, okay, let's take a break here. With my friend Chris Nibby, we're sharing with you our thoughts about how to make crossover films. And of course, by name, by the size of name, by size of reputation, neither Chris Nibby nor do I have anything in common, or we're kind of way too far to match. But as a free country with freedom of expression, we would like to express ourselves how we want to see a crossover film. So stay with us. We'll be right back, please. Hello, my dear folks. Welcome back to the East-West Show. My name is Jack Chow. My guest is Mr. Chris Nibby, a director, producer, and screenwriter, a good friend, a Well, we are trying to shed light on this issue. Issue being that we take Great Wall by Mr. Zhang Yimou as an example piece to dissect in order to see what is the best way to do to make crossover films. We're talking about cultures across the ocean. The ocean is so big and so deep, no one could just walk over barefoot, right? You have to use some kind of vehicles. Either you fly or you ride a boat or something, right? So you can't just pull up pants and walk over. It's not that easy. So that being a description, vivid description, we would like to put it onto the subject of filmmaking. Conceptually, you're starting at the very first place. A quote from Christian B. You have to create your own story. That crossover, that's the crossover stuff, right? In order to do that, do we say, am I right to say, or am I safe to say, now, you want to use stuff as universal as possible?
Yeah.
As commonly understood as possible. Mm-hmm. For example, music. Mm-hmm. For example, dance. For example, human instinct. A kiss or a hug or a slam on the face feel the same way to human. As long as you breathe like I do, you feel the same extent as on your face as on my face, right? Those are stuff. So now, action, of course, included. Now, that said, are you saying as long as you put them in your story, it has automatically become a good story?
No, because you see, it's so difficult. Mm-hmm. In film business, you're always trying to second guess the audience. Mm-hmm. And for example, there is a picture called La La Land.
Okay, La La Land.
It took the director, I think, 10 years to get it made. Now the picture is a real success. Mm-hmm. Why? Because, and he didn't expect that. Nobody really expects it. We all hope for it, and most of the time, because it is said that out of 10 films, about 6 may lose their money or may just make their money back, and 2 or 3 make money, and 1 or 2 are really successful. It's a very dangerous business. This is why in Hollywood you only have 6 companies. Hollywood is 6 companies.
Yeah, last I believe 6 million tried and failed.
You know, it's Disney, it's Warner Brothers, it's Fox, it's Sony, and Universal,
21st Century,
and one more, and Paramount.
Paramount, yeah.
6. And then you have a successful independent company, Lionsgate, and the rest is all is of no importance.
Lots of tried and failed.
Yeah, but you have 6 studios, and they are powerful because you see they have hundreds of films in their libraries, and these films generate all the time cash flow on TV. Before the cash flow was very big on VHS and DVD, and now it's also streaming. And like, for example, if you own a film like Casablanca, the famous film, it's like a cash cow. Every year you can, at least you'll make a couple of $1 million for nothing, and the film is, I don't know, 50, 60 years old. So this is these are the laws of the money. Therefore,
back to the question, I was saying that are we saying that as long as you put those international, commonly understood stuff into your story, you automatically have a good story? And you said the answer is no.
No.
Right? And how come?
Because and now you have to think whether the subject matter, the general subject matter, is appealing. And it's very difficult. You know, as I said, you never know until you have made the film, because writing a story is one thing. Making a film is a different one.
And make the audience like it is another.
And casting, for example, you see, if there is no synergy between the two lead actors, you have nothing. And in La La Land, for example, there was synergy between the two lead actors. You believed them. You believed what happens to them. In The Great Wall, there is no synergy at all. You couldn't care less what happens to Matt Damon and Mr. Wang's daughter, or I don't know her name, or the other actors.
Yeah, that's General Lin. Yeah. General Lin, Dr. Mr. Wang's daughter. Anyway, back to the focus, right? The focus being Great Wall is a typical example of dragging everything possible, everything commonly understood by visual effect, into a story.
Yes.
And yet it failed to be a story.
Right.
It has no story at all.
Right.
Right. So that could, am I right, if we bring this subject to class, to school, to the kids?
Yes.
To show them this is how it felt.
How it shouldn't be done.
How it is, why it shouldn't be done.
Right.
And this could be a very good teaching material. Am I right?
Yes.
Or am I safe to say so?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay. And there is one time when I was little, we were at high school. In the high school, we have a lab. And we dissect a frog. And open it up. There is certain part, very, very teeny tiny. And I broke it. And that wasted the whole frog. I was so criticized by the teacher. The teacher says, okay, watch, let me do it. Okay, you watch. And he opened it, another one, and then he broke it. You know what he said?
Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly how you did last time. Okay, he broke it.
Yeah.
There's no easy way to do not to breaking it.
Right.
Exactly like the film, exactly like what? Like Great Wall. But the irony fact is that we both broke it.
Right.
We both broke it.
Right.
Right? So two frogs are gone. Something like that. So, and I would like to call upon my friends who has interest in film or film concept, whatever, to think it twice. Are you paying, like in my case, I paid $34 something for 2 tickets for the 3D version. Just for full 2 hours to be full around?
Bored.
With the special effect? Okay. In real life, how many times are you experienced the danger of having an animal open mouth in front of your eyes and push you over? Have you?
Right.
No. So, your take?
It's boring. It's boring. And you see, the problem is, and there is a shift now starting. It always is shifting. You see, there is still the Marvel comics and all that. They still have a big audience, and they make films.
There was no comic element in Great Wall at all.
No. There was nothing.
No,
It's
nothing.
really
No joke. No, not even a joke.
It's really a bad film. It's just a bad film
Everybody's
by a great
a long
talented
face,
director.
yeah.
You know, because Zhang Yimou was a talented director.
He was once.
He made beautiful films.
I like his other stuff.
Yeah, he made beautiful films as long as he stayed with something which was close to his heart.
Or could it be the fact that he did it for money? Say, here's the money, do it my way.
Probably, yeah.
So for the money, he bent.
Yeah, but also you see...
That actually wasn't his style.
But you know, when it comes to this kind of money, the influence of the producers, excuse me, and the studios is very, very high, and the director is more or less doing what they tell him. It's only on smaller films where the director can really do what he wants.
The bigger the money, the more the say he doesn't
Of course,
have.
because the executives, I mean, they're fearing to lose the money, or they're fearing a disaster.
Could that be Mr. Wang's money?
It's not his money.
The father of the of General Lin?
Probably.
Could be, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, anyway, my dear audience, today with my friend Chris Nibby, we are sharing his thoughts on the failure of the Great Wall. It is a failure, it is a total failure that lots of people regretted they saw it. And of course, for filmmakers, for somebody, or those of you who have interest in studying films, probably it's a good lesson to learn. I understand that you are trying also, if not more, by putting more efforts, the crossover film too, right? And you have recently just finished the script of a crossover subject, crossover theme. So after this break, are you comfortable, or will you be comfortable talking about your project, please? I like comparison between two, a failure, a possible success, something like that.
Yes. You see, there are two universal things which everybody understands. It's action in movies, you know, because a car which turns 28 times and explodes doesn't talk. I mean, this is what you see. And then there's another thing is music. Music is universal, and so is dance. Everybody loves to dance, and everybody loves music. So I thought maybe a good idea is to create a love story in the milieu of dance with music.
All right, okay, let's take a break right here, and when we come back, we'll talk the whole thing about it with a whole segment, and we'll see how exactly a good story can be made, how exactly a bad story can fail. So stay with us, please. Hello, dear friends, dear audiences. Welcome back to the show. As a matter of fact, it's a discussion about films. Simply, it was triggered by Great Wall, a masterpiece of director Zhang Yimou, which lots of people like and lots of people dislike. I belong to the latter. And with my friend Chris Nibby, we're sharing the...
Who also dislikes the film.
Oh, who also disliked the film. Mr. Chris Nibby, director, producer, screenwriter of Hollywood, a wonderful filmmaker with a monument of a 16-episode series.
18.
No, 18 series episode of Mysteries China, who tells the truth in documentary. He is now doing his feature films. Welcome back to the show once again. I'm glad that somebody finally working towards the crossover subject, because this is such a deep area, such a hard to come over area, and I will hate people backing up because of that. So I know that you're finishing up on your recent project. Can we steal something from you, please?
Yes, I created, the title is Body Talk.
Body Talk?
Body Talk.
Like the body language.
Yes. And it's about dance. It's about a Chinese dancer who was dancing on Broadway, but that's the backstory. You don't see that. And he is back in China, and he is a widower. His wife also was a dancer, and she died, and he has a son who is 11 years old, and the boy is a rebellious daredevil and wants to be like his father, a dancer. His father does not want him to be a dancer because dancing is actually not a very lucrative profession.
To him, that moment.
Yes.
Right.
And there is a former Las Vegas showgirl which is engaged to an American executive in Shanghai, who and this Chinese dancer is putting on a show with a friend of his from New York who is a black choreographer, and they're putting a show. They finance it themselves, and this girl, this American girl who is a former dancer in Las Vegas and engaged to this very successful American businessman who does not want it to be known to the Chinese media that she is was a Las Vegas dancer, because there's a big difference between a Broadway dancer and a Las Vegas dancer. So she goes there and auditions, and during that story, during the film, a love story develops. She's accepted, and slowly a love story develops between the Chinese dancer and the American girl, and in the end there is a happy ending, because the American, who was very jealous of her basically leaving him, in the end helps and saves the show from financial disaster, and also actually sets her free to follow not only her wish to dance, but also to her newfound love.
All right, it sounds like a PIP, picture-in-picture stuff, right? It's a love story about a onstage dance story of love story.
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Both are love stories, on and off stage, love story.
Yes, and you see, important is that I have tried to punctuate emotional situations with very famous songs, like The Little Boy, and that's the most expensive part of the film. The film costs, by the way, less than $10 million to be made in China entirely. The most expensive thing is to buy the music rights. For example, The Little Boy likes to imitate Michael Jackson, so we buy some Michael Jackson music.
I see.
Or the jealous fiancé sneaks into the theater and watches the audition and sees the Chinese dancer with his girlfriend dancing to the Tennessee Waltz by Patti Page, which is
another big copyright.
Yes, which has a message. I was dancing with my girlfriend, and my friend came and took my girl away. So it fits. So and there are other songs, and I'm also going to use one or two Chinese songs where the song tells the emotional situation of what is going on between the people.
I see.
So and at the end,
could you actually write your own? I mean, have your own staff write your own songs?
No, because how would you? Why would you compete? Why would you try to write hit movies and hit songs? Don't happen because you want them to happen. They happen by accident. So why not capitalize on beautiful existing songs which are there and are world famous? Haven't you had?
But you pay more, right?
Okay, but the film has no stars, so, and the film is still cheap. I mean, the music. But haven't you felt very well in a film when all of a sudden there's music you have heard before? You feel, because we all have memories with certain songs. Now, if you hear the song in the film, it comes back to you, and it's still much cheaper than to try to write a hit film, write a hit song.
Okay.
There are plenty of.
Okay. Back to the analyzation of the film, of the crossover film, with the theme, with the story.
Right.
You're talking about a bunch of Chinese and a bunch of Americans get evenly involved in this story.
No. There are only 3 Americans. The girl, her fiancé, and the black choreographer.
Okay.
The other cast are all Chinese.
But the main players, the main roles are the Chinese father,
Chinese
and his
father
son,
and his son, which is very important because you see, a young kid is always a pleasure.
The father and his son, and the American couple.
Yes.
And the choreographer.
Choreographer, yes.
Her name is Monty, right? Is that the one?
No.
Monty or Monty?
Monty. It's
Monty.
a man.
Monty. Okay.
Yeah.
Him. Okay. Anyway, so it is a mixed mixed
cast, but the emphasis is on the Chinese because we are filming in Shanghai, and there are other Chinese. All the other dancers are all
compared
Chinese.
to Great Wall. He dragged in the special effect, the action, whatever, into the film, and you did that too. You used the dance, the music,
Right.
Into the film.
Right.
The difference, however, being that they do not have a story, you have a story.
Right.
They do not have a convincing story, you do have a convincing story.
Yes.
So story, it talks about the importance of story, am I right?
Yeah.
All right.
And
very
it's
good.
It's a normal. It's a story which could actually happen. I mean, there are a lot of.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know, a lot of marriages which will result in Lao Wai going to China and meeting a Chinese girl, and in this case, it's a Chinese man who meets an American girl. And
yeah.
they have one thing
Good.
in common.
It's the opposite way.
Yeah, and they have one thing in common, and that's their passion for dance.
And there's another difference with the stories that I've seen so far. Chinese couple coming in here end up having one of them married Americans.
Right.
Right. And you did it the other way. American couple goes to China, and they end up one marrying a Chinese.
Right.
All right. Like a different story.
Yeah, I don't have the marriage, but I have. The main thing is that
the orientation was going there.
Yes, the main thing is that the American realizes who actually had forbidden the dancing girl, because you know when you say I'm a Las Vegas dancer, that is not prestige. That borders on cheap entertainment. If you are a Broadway dancer, that's total different.
Okay.
So the American, very successful businessman, didn't want the media to know that his fiancée was a Las Vegas dancer.
Yeah. That's
So eventually this American man also realized that he is not right for this woman. And that the Chinese, her Chinese dance partner and her have a future because they have this connection, this very strong connection for dance, and the little boy likes that American woman very much, and he also wants to have a family again because his mother died in a car accident.
I
So
see.
it's something people emotionally, I think, can understand, and very important in the film is that little boy. And you see, children are wonderful if you have a good part for children in a film. It's something which very appealing.
It connects.
To the audience.
Yes,
because
it connects.
Yes,
it connects.
Especially
yes,
if in this case it's a rebellious daredevil boy, but still he loves his father, but the father faces the problem many fathers face, that the son wants to be like him, but he says, look,
okay, where are you on this project?
I have finished the script and I have now interest, and now I'm looking for the money. And once again, the film is a project less than $10 million. So that's a difference.
That's a low budget.
That's a low budget film. And I'm going to use Shanghai in a way. The city of Shanghai is very, very interesting and beautiful to film, because Shanghai has the old part, has the very modern part, it has a river, it has the wonderful, you know, Shanghai is one of the cities with the richest Art Deco architecture in the world, and Shanghai is something very special, and Shanghai will be the star of the film also.
And you have any target for your role 1, role 2, both male, female?
No. It will be very difficult. It will be very difficult to find the Chinese lead dancer, the hero. It will be very difficult, and I haven't started.
I have a personal friend who is a lead dancer in Hollywood, on Broadway stage.
How old is he?
He's about 45, 50.
That's a little too old.
A little too old, right?
Yeah, that's a little too old. He's still dancing?
Yeah, he's teaching now.
No.
But he is...
I need, my dancer has to be in its early 30s.
Early 30s. No.
Early 30s,
That's too little.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, my dear audience, today we have a very good chance to touch base with you about filmmaking using two examples. Number one, Great Wall, which fails. Number two, Body Talk, which is the one being cooked at this very moment. Thanks to my good friend, Chris Nebe, director, writer, screenwriter, and the producer. And thank my audience for watching. So you're planning to visit China, to Shanghai, right?
Yeah, I'm leaving next on.
Okay, when are you coming back?
In the middle of May.
Middle of May, okay. In the middle of May, we'll see him again.
By that time, I hope to have the money for the film.
By that time, he will have the money, 10 million, and he'll give one to me. That's it. We'll go from there. All right?
That's it.
Okay, very
done.
good. Handshake.
Deal.
Handshake.
Handshake.
Done
deal.
deal. Okay, very good.
谢谢你，再见。
Thank you.